Welcome to Upper Walton Farm. The farm was built in stone in the mid-1800s and extended in the late 1960s. I am unsure as to when it was last lived in, but it is on the market in 2025 with a guide price of £1.1 million. The earliest record I found of the farm being named is a newspaper article from the 24th of July 1846. It reads, "Inquest. On Monday last, an inquest was held at the house of Mr. Smout of Upper Walton before William Eddowes, Esquire, Coroner, on the body of Richard Mountford, aged 19, a farm servant to Mr. Smout. It appeared that deceased was in the habit of bathing in a shallow pool called Roscoch Well, situated at the foot of the Long Mountain near the Beacon Ring. The water is remarkably cold and is much used on account of certain medicinal properties it is said to possess. It has been recently repaired by J.M. Severn, Esquire, of WALLPAPER for the use of the public. On Monday, the deceased left his master's house at 12 o'clock, and 2 hours afterwards a boy found him lying dead in the well, part of his body being above the water. It is supposed that the deceased walked rapidly to the well and became heated, and that the coldness of the water had induced apoplexy. The jury returned a verdict of found drowned." Strangely, I cannot find any record of the farm on the 1841, 1851 or 1861 census, nor any record of a person named Smout living at the farm. The earliest census I find the farm on is from 1871, and living there is Job Jacks, aged 28, and he is a farmer of 42 acres. With him is a 14-year-old boy named Walter Passant. 10 years later, on the 1881 census, there is another Job Jacks at the farm, but this Job is aged 71 and a farmer of 130 acres. This does seem to be a different Job, so I don't know what the story is there. They must be related. And it is definitely the same farm, but has significantly increased in size in 10 years. Job is married and his wife is named Elizabeth, and she is 68. They have 2 servants, Thomas Parry, aged 16, and Morris Hughes, aged 14. In 1891, we have the Davis family living at the farm. The head is Richard Davis, aged 42, and he is a farmer. He is not married, and he has his siblings living and working with him. David, aged 37, Thomas, aged 31, Mary E., aged 35, and she is listed as housekeeper. There are also other family members living at the farm. Thomas J. Jones, who is an 11-year-old nephew, and John Hughes, who is 84 and their uncle. There are 5 farm servants: Evan Griffiths, aged 40, Joseph Doricott, aged 43, John Grice, aged 15, John Millington, aged 17, and Thomas Jones, aged 15, and an Elizabeth Dishley, aged 16, who is a general domestic servant. On the 1901 census, we have the Beddoes family. George Beddoes is head, and he is aged 42 and a farmer. His wife Sarah Ann is 48. They have 3 children with them: Herbert J. Stevens, who is 20 and George's stepson, so presumably Sarah's son from a previous relationship; Ethel M. Beddoes, aged 13, and George Henry Beddoes, aged 11. There is also a Herbert Evans, aged 18, who is a teamster on the farm. A teamster was someone who led a team of horses or oxen. 10 years later, in 1911, George Beddoes is still at the farm. There is a discrepancy with ages now, as George is listed as 59 and Sarah Ann as 62, which shows that most people weren't aware of their dates of birth and just guessed. There is a different stepson living with them. He is named Charles Stevens, and he is aged 34. Ethel Beddoes is now aged 23, and she is listed as housemaid, and Henry, who is George Henry, is now 21. In January 1916, another drowning tragedy hits the farm, as this newspaper article, dated the 8th of January, tells us. Drowning mystery at Welshpool, young woman's death. Coroner Dr. R.D. Thomas and a jury, of which Mr. D.J. James was foreman, inquired into a mysterious drowning case at the town hall on Saturday concerning the death of Miss Lily Stevens, aged 22, the daughter of Mr. W.G. Stevens of Liverpool. For over 8 years, the deceased has lived with her grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. G. Beddoes. Her dead body was found in flood water near Welshpool on Friday, after she had been missing from Walton since the previous Monday morning. William Grove Stevens said he was an inspector of weights and measures under the Lancaster County Council, resided at Waterloo, Liverpool. He identified the body of that of his daughter. He could not throw any light on the cause of death. Ethel May Beddoes said deceased always told them she was quite happy. She had no love affair to the witness's knowledge and nothing to trouble her. She appeared quite as bright as usual on Monday morning. They had lunch about 11 a.m. and afterwards deceased went on with the housework. She left the house shortly before noon and said she was going to get sticks for the morning and said she would be back in a jiffy. There were sticks close to which witness thought she meant to get. This was the last time the witness saw her alive. She appeared quite as usual when she went out. Deceased was of a reserved disposition, but if anything she was brighter that morning and laughed quite loudly during the conversation they had. George Henry Beddoes, the farmer's son and the deceased's uncle, also said that the deceased had appeared quite happy on Monday week. After lunch he went around the stock on the farm, and at about 12 o'clock he was sheltering under a hedge and he noticed the deceased going up the hill. He was 100 yards away from her. He did not know where she was going, but thought she was going to a neighbour, Mrs. Pursley, for a newspaper. She was dressed in her working clothes and was walking quite along naturally. On Monday evening, when he returned home from driving his brother to Minsterley Station, he was told that the deceased was missing, and with a neighbour he went to make a search. He reported the matter to the police the same night. On the previous afternoon, he and Mr. Jones of Moulshop came over to search the Severn, and Mr. Jones found the body in a hollow of a field on the lower Leighton farm near the river. Herbert James Jones, farmer of Moulshop, said he had known deceased intimately and considered her a strong, healthy girl without care or trouble. He did not know that she had any love affair, but she was a very reserved girl. He never thought that she had anything in the least wrong with her mentally. At 5 p.m. on Monday evening, the deceased's grandfather came to his house and asked if he had seen anything of Lily as she was missing. With George Beddoes, he went up the hill towards Welshpool and traced her to Leighton, but there they lost all trace of her, and they reported the matter to the police. From day to day they made inquiries, and the previous day P.C. Williams suggested they should search the river banks, and they did so, walking up the river banks below Buttington. They searched the banks in hedgerows until they came in a field close to the boathouse and 200 yards from Leighton Bridge. In that field, in a hollow about 100 yards from the river, they found the body. There was water in the hollow, but the body was lying on the edge of the water with only an elbow in the water. She was lying face downwards with her hands on her chest, forming the opinion that during the flood which had covered the field, the hollow in the field would be submerged to a considerable depth. There was a footpath crossing the field from Hope so that anyone coming down the path might easily get into the water. The witness added that the body was found quite 3 miles from home. The coroner, summing up, said they would all agree that it was a very tragic case. Reviewing the evidence as to whether death could have been deliberate, the coroner said that people were either sane or insane, always had some motive, real or imaginary, in taking lives, but in this case there was no evidence of any motive at all. So far as they could see, there was no trace of any insanity. She was a strong, healthy person without any care or worry. She had no love affair, and the jury could exclude from their minds any question of her being in trouble. Any motive he could find was that the affair at Monksfield, where a poor woman did away with herself by drowning, had preyed upon her mind. People in that state of mind were really very cunning and hid their feelings in a very marked degree. The jury must keep in their mind the question of whether death could have been accidental. The coroner said the police had got all the evidence they could. The person who saw it at Leighton could only say that he saw a woman answering a certain description and did not know whether it was the deceased. Jury returned an open verdict that deceased was found drowned and expressed their sympathy with the relatives. Looking on the census from the time, I cannot find a Lily Stevens living on the farm with the Beddoes family. On the 1921 census, George Stevens is still living on the farm. He is down to 65 years of age and Sarah Ann is 73. George Henry Beddoes is now 32 and assisting on the farm. There is a George Stevens who is a grandson. He is 18 and a farm pupil. There is also a Sarah Humphreys, aged 61, and she is a housekeeper. In September 1926, Sarah Ann Beddoes dies. Her obituary reads, "The death occurred on Friday of Mrs. Sarah Ann Beddoes, wife of Mr. George Beddoes, at the age of 78 years. She had been an invalid for more than 10 years. She was of a kind and charitable nature and was much respected in the neighbourhood. The funeral took place at All Saints Church, Worthing, on Tuesday, the Reverend G. M. Bell, rector, officiating. I wasn't able to find when George Beddoes passed away, nor was I able to find the farm on the 1939 register, but searching through newspaper articles, I was able to find some names of later occupants of the farm. An obituary from May 1948 tells us that a gentleman named Jones farmed there. It reads, "The death occurred on Wednesday of Mr. Thomas Edward Jones at his home, Upper Walton Farm, after a short illness at the age of 72. A native of Trafalgar's, Montgomeryshire, he and his wife were members of well-known farming families. After their marriage, they farmed Bagbury Farm, Hissington. In 1939, they came to Malsop Farm, Leighton, and for the last 6 years farmed Upper Walton Farm." He is survived by his widow, 5 sons and 1 daughter. The funeral took place at Brockton Baptist Church on Saturday. After Thomas Edward Jones's death, it seems his son Edward took over the farm. I don't have any information on him, but I found his wife's obituary from 1985. Jones, Doris Maud Nee Colley of Upper Walton, passed away peacefully in the Royal Shrewsbury Hospital on Wednesday, October the 30th, aged 73 years. Dearly beloved wife of Edward, dear mother of Hayden, David and Leonard. Funeral service at St Mark's Church, Marton, followed by interment in the churchyard. Right, let's go in. Oh my goodness. Wallpaper over here. Very nice. another room through here, the red room. Wow, there's another old like meat store or cold store in there, look. The cobwebs up there. See all the different wallpapers. Back door there. Let's see if it opened. Ooh, got some kind of creatures coming in. The key's still in the door. Lino on the floor there, look. Right, that's the stairs. To go upstairs, we'll go that way in a mo. Let's carry on through here. I can hear like running water or something. There's the old kitchen, look. And the tap's running. God, there's bits going off everywhere. What's this? Ooh, there's like a mini, like a cellar under there, look. Porch. Go into the kitchen. There's another set of stairs, look. Let's just turn off. There's a load of 2Ps there, look. Right, let's go up these stairs out to the kitchen and see where they go. Just hope they're all right. Not sure about the green wallpaper. Big room. Everywhere seems to have this lino, plastic lino on the floor. It's the view out the window. More lino on the floor. Look at the wallpaper. Goodness me. Into the bathroom. It's a strange bathroom. With the door either side. Kind of like on a corridor. Some photos in there. Let's go up into the bathroom. What a strange configuration of the house. Money everywhere. Oh, it smells. So you've got the bathroom on a corridor, which is a bit random. Wallpaper. Wow, I'm seeing some fantastic wallpaper today. Look at it. That is mad. I've never seen a bathroom in a corridor before. Look at the old style there. Heater up there. So there's the other stairs. We'll go back down those. But my God, there is some fabulous wallpaper. Got a big room in here. Must have been the rain. The thing to put like lino down on your floor. Look at the little lampshade up there. It's a blocked off fireplace. Unfortunately, this house isn't listed, so it can be knocked down if they wanted. Be a shame. It's worth keeping just for the wallpaper. Carry on through. Back onto the landing. Another big room with its lino on the floor again. There's another bricked up fireplace. Looks like we've got some rot over there. Another lampshade. Oh, look at that wallpaper. It's very 1970s. Got a lovely view out onto, they've got their own apple tree, look, full of apples. Lots of rot above the window there. And then one more little bedroom here. More lino on the floor, more wallpaper. This wallpaper looks very familiar. I'm sure my mum had this at her house. Not sure if it's Laura actually. But yeah, you can see the laughs there. That corner of the room is coming away. So there's probably subsidence. Yeah, nice little house. Let's head down the stairs. And hopefully, if it stopped raining, we'll have a look outside. Here we go.